Episode number 27.
Here's a water for you, too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well,
Do you just dive right into the questions?
no, I do a little intro, like, thank you for having me over, taking time out of your very busy schedule. I notice you are a very busy person. So yeah, you're the first person out of all 27 to request questions
No way.
beforehand. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
So that's why it took a while, because I've never done it before. I'm like on the spot sort of question asker,
Yeah?
and I never have
You could have
done
told
that.
me that. That would have been appropriate. Like,
Well-
hey, I just usually do it on the spot. That's totally fine.
Well, it's also like I probably should do it like this though.
Well, okay. So that's what I teach my students, because we have a project called Celebrity Interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I teach them how to do 2 camera angles. And whoever they ask, they always have to give the questions ahead of time. And that's just better preparement for the interviewee, so they know what to say.
Yeah.
Especially if it's someone that's never been in front of the camera, because that's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard for people to get in front of a camera. And that way, if you give them questions, they know ahead of time.
Yeah.
I apologize, though, if I
No,
made
it's
you
okay.
work more.
It put me in an uncomfortable position, and uncomfortable positions only make you grow.
Yeah.
Either you're going to grow from your uncomfortable position, or you're going to crumble from your uncomfortable position.
I believe
and I'm
it.
not a crumbler. So, yeah, it's just live and learn sort of thing, you know? But once again, thank you so much. Like I said to you in my email that I sent you,
Yeah.
you know, you talk about a lot about yourself on your podcast. So I'm going to go over more detailed questions. And that's why I also liked writing out questions beforehand, because I feel like I had really good detailed questions.
Yep.
So let's start off with this warm-up question. You have 2 boys.
I do.
What do you like to do for fun with them?
So for fun, we like to do weekend trips and like close trips. So we'll do like Morro Bay, Pismo, just like there and back. But honestly, because we're so busy all the time, they are huge homebodies, which is my fault, because I always have them so busy. So literally days where I'm like, okay, we're having a lazy day, that's their best day, because they just want to be home and do nothing.
Watch cartoons?
And watch cartoons.
Awesome.
Netflix, YouTube.
What's their favorite thing on Netflix?
I got my kids into Friends.
Oh, that's cool.
And I say that because, I mean, it could get a little inappropriate, right? But they were really into Friends. And then when, literally the day it got off Netflix, he was at his dad's house, and he texted, he was like, horrible news, Friends is gone. So Friends was their favorite. We literally just have it on all the time in the background. We're not even watching.
That's how I am with
It's just
The
on.
Office.
I've never watched The Office.
Oh my goodness.
I watched episode 1. I watched episode 1 and I'm just like, I can't.
Is it The Boss?
No, it's like okay, we didn't grow up with sarcasm. Like you were told what to do. It was no ifs and or buts.
Yeah.
My parents were not sarcastic. So I don't pick up on that humor.
Oh, okay.
So it's hard for me to be
Got it.
entertained by that.
Yeah, it's very sarcastic.
Yeah, super. And then just YouTube. They love YouTube.
YouTube. Do they have a favorite YouTuber?
They tried to get me into their stuff, but it's hard to understand because it's like toy reviews, and it's like one of them is Matthias, and he does like all those reviews on random stuff on Amazon, and just random people.
Yeah. Like that what's that one? Is it Matthias, where he's like super young kid, he's like 8 or something like that. He does all these reviews on
I think that's Ryan's Toys Review or something like that.
I don't know anything about
Yeah, and like Hobby Kids TV. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, man, that kid made it big already.
Oh
He's
my
gonna be like
gosh.
another Jeff Bezos, I think.
Oh
That'd
my
be cool.
gosh, for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. I want to talk to you a little bit about your early life.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, because like I said before, you cover that a lot in your podcast.
Yeah.
So where are you and your family from?
So my family originates from Jalisco, and specifically from San Juan de los Lagos.
Okay.
So both my parents are from there. And then we moved into the Valley really young. So I was 3, and we've just been Central Valley. So we were in Tulare, we lived in Tipton, and then I eventually came to Visalia, but just very Central Valley focused.
Okay.
And I actually was in Santa Rosa for a little bit, Bay Area. That's where I was born.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your family a little bit more. What have they been up to?
My family. So my mom and dad are amazing. So my mom is one of 16 kids.
Wow.
And my dad's one of 12.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have over 100 first cousins.
So that's like a lot of cousins, obviously, and then aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
Both sides are Perez. I know. So then it gets a little confusing. I mean, genetic-wise, like both sides are very different because my mom's side is very like Spaniard descent looking, and my dad's side is not. They're more like authentic Mexican Aztec looking. So you could tell the difference. But I have a huge family, and they decided not to have as many kids. So there's 4 of us. So I have 2 older sisters, and then it's me, and then my little brother, and then I have the 2 boys.
Okay.
Yeah, big family though.
Yeah.
Huge.
So you say not as many kids, but 4 kids is still kind of a lot.
I mean, but compared to 16,
yeah,
though.
compared to 16.
Yeah, and 12.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like they were the only ones. Like, it's been a generation thing. Like, my mom's mom was like one of 20 or like 18, like something insane as well. Yeah.
I can't even imagine the household and the family dinners and
I know.
taking all of them to church or something. And that sounds like a mission.
I know. That's crazy.
So I want to talk about your 2 boys a little bit more.
Yeah.
Do they ever help you while you're on the job, while you're
Always.
taking photographs and videos?
Yeah. When it's appropriate, I'll take them with me. If I feel like it's a client you become friends with your clients. There's families that rehire me every year for different pictures or different events. Once I feel like we've built a good relationship, I'll at times take my boys with me. And I have a lot of family friends that will book me as well. And if they know my kids, I'll take them with me too. So when it's appropriate, they're with me. And my little one always has that camera that's recording. I always take it with me, and he shoots with that. So he'll be right next to me shooting. And then my oldest is more like my props guy. Like, he helps me carry everything and like lug things around. I have like a portable closet that I carry with me at times if they want to do an outfit change.
Yeah.
So he'll lug that around. So they're always helping. And I do minis. So like I'll do mini sessions, like literally within a day I book back to back to back to back. And they're with me pretty much the whole day. And then they help me with the paperwork and the receipts. So I do. They help me. There's other times where every other weekend they'll be with their dad. So obviously those weekends they don't, but I'll call up my oldest and I'll say, hey, I have this going on today. Do you want to come? You want to make $40? And I'll go pick them up and take them with me.
So you pay them too?
My oldest,
Your
yes.
oldest?
Yeah.
That's cool. You're like teaching him some responsibility.
Yep. And customer service,
Yeah.
and I'm like, when they come in, you need to say hi, you need to like properly introduce yourself, because it's kind of, weird. I mean, yes, they know he's my child, but if you're just sitting there in the corner, but yeah, I'll pay him, and then he'll buy his own stuff because I don't buy them toys, which is a whole different topic. And they have to earn whatever they want.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of families or just people in general can learn from that example right there. I don't want to call out anyone, but
Call them out.
okay, well, I mean, you see some spoiled people out there.
Oh, for sure.
And they grow up and they're always spoiled, and then they get out into the world and they have this entitlement, and it's not healthy.
Yeah.
And so once again, you instilling that into your boys at such a young age is like props off to you and props off to them as well.
Thank you.
I feel like they're a step ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Their other, peers.
I think they'll realize that later.
Yeah.
Because right now it's like, but Johnny has like 1 million Beyblades. Why don't I? And I'm like, I'm not gonna argue with you. Yeah.
I remember that too. I would take in bottles and cans.
Yeah.
And I didn't like do. I eventually stopped doing it because I didn't like to. But now I look back,
Like
man,
for money.
yeah, just for money.
Yeah.
And I could use it for whatever.
Yeah. I remember helping my
And,
parents do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I stopped doing it because I didn't like to or whatever my excuse was.
Yeah.
And now I look back, I was like, man, I would have really wish I would have continued that because it was just work hard for a few dollars.
Yep.
And I feel like I might get a little spoiled sometimes, but
it's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but not always.
Not always.
Yeah.
For sure, not always.
Yeah, and when they do get something, they really appreciate it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's the value in that.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I saw in your podcast once again that you mentioned your dad was working here in the U.S.
Right.
And your mom was at home with the family.
Right.
So my question is from that is what are some of the things that you've taken away from your parents that you've passed down to your children during that specific time?
So during that time when my dad was in the U.S., I was really young, so I don't remember much of it. So he would come and work. My two older sisters are born in Mexico, and I was born, I'm the first in my family born in the States. And then when I turned 1, we moved back to Mexico. He's still working at this point in the U.S. And we were there for 2 years. And then when I was 3, we all came back to the U.S. So during that time, I really don't remember. And I only remember what from my mom tells me is just, at this point, she has 3 daughters that she's taking care of. And I could only imagine how hard that is because I have 2 boys and I'm here and I'm doing this and that. Yeah. But I can only imagine that in a less fortunate country because there's not many opportunities. And here there's so much aid that you could get. Yeah. So I don't remember anything specifically from that time. But from that point forward when we moved over here, I just remember them being hard workers and that's it. And I just remember we worked for what we wanted. We earned what we wanted. Nothing was ever handed. We never were like, oh, I just bought you 1,000,000 pairs of jeans or whatever it may be. Yeah. Like I want to instill that in my boys. And I feel like I just naturally do it because it does come from my parents. Yeah. So with my boys, I don't spoil them like that. Like whatever they need, they earn. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, I supply them with the essentials, the underwear and the socks and the clothes and the, but like all the little extra fun stuff, they earn themselves. We actually have a chore list. Okay. So every night they come in after school, get their homework done, get dinner done, they have to do their chores.
They help with dinner too?
They help with dinner too.
Awesome.
And at the end of the night, at the end of the month, they get paid based off of like their chores. And it's an allowance, but it's an allowance that they've earned. Yeah. So then that's their money for the month.
Wow.
Yeah.
My dad one time gave me an allowance per week, I think, for keeping my room clean. Yeah. Because I could never keep it clean. Oh even today, it's a struggle for me. But he would give me like $5 a week or something like that if it was clean. And one day out of I don't know how many days that week. I tried to like trick him or something like that, and I was like, it was dirty one day, and I cleaned it up real quick for the next remaining days. Yeah. And I was like, well, I think I did some funky math. I was like, it was clean for this half of the week, so I should get $2.50 or $3 or something like that. And he was like, no, it's got to be clean for the whole week. Yeah. So yeah, that just kind of took me back right there.
Yeah, I could see negotiating.
Yeah. I tried.
Yeah. Did it work?
No. Yeah. It didn't. He usually say go mow the lawn or something. Yeah. But
that's funny. My boys, the oldest is 12 now, so he's starting to be more like, because I rely on him a lot more than the younger one. But he'll try to negotiate some stuff too. Yeah. It's like if I do this, this, and this, can I get 1 more hour on Fortnite? It's like, I'll think about it. Yeah. So negotiating's coming in too.
I will go back to when you said Fortnite video game. That took me back too. Do you know the PlayStation 2 when it first came out?
I don't.
Oh, well, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. PlayStation 2 was early 2000s. Yeah. I really wanted it, and I was like tithing on it. Because I grew up in church, and my parents were youth pastors, and that was like the first thing I like ever earned for myself. It was a big thing.
That's
It
huge.
was like $1.99 at the time.
Oh, yeah,
I was
that's a
like, oh,
lot.
I was so happy, and I was like, oh man, and yeah.
And doesn't it make you feel better?
It did. It made me feel so good.
Yeah.
And I still have not the same PlayStation, but I still have a PlayStation 2 to this day. And I play the same games.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of nostalgic for me now.
Right.
Because not only is it like, oh, these old games are fun, but oh, this is like a reminder that this is the first big thing that I worked up to, even though I was only like 5 or 6 or 7. And I don't know where I was going with that, but that's when you said Fortnite, I was like, oh man, that took me back a while.
Yeah. What game would you play?
I played this game called Backyard Sports.
Backyard sports.
It was like literally just kids playing basketball or baseball. Backyard Sports was the brand, and it had a backyard baseball game, backyard basketball game. I had baseball and basketball.
Yeah.
And I would play that for hours at a time.
I just took the boys to watch Sonic. And that we had a Sega, and that's what we played. We would play Sonic.
Yeah.
And then, of course, classic Mario, Nintendo. Yep.
I had a little Game Boy one time, and I had Mario on it, and then my brother's friend stole it, I think. But
Of course, that's valuable.
It was, yeah. I was pissed. But yeah. You also mentioned your podcast that if there was something you wanted, obviously you talked about like clothes, right?
Right.
You said by the time you're in high school, teenage years, you wanted clothes.
Yeah.
Just like your boys, your parents wouldn't have given that to you.
Right.
So my question is, what are some of the things that you would do for extra money? Did you have to get a job at that point?
Yeah, when I turned 16, as soon as I knew that at the age of 16 you could start working, I started working. So I got a worker's permit through high school, and I've always had good luck with jobs. I don't know. And I applied to Domino's Pizza. That was my first job.
Okay.
I was there for like 3 months. And then after that, I started working at a gym. And I did the front desk, and I did the daycare center. And that's really what put me through high school. And that's how I got my clothes. That's how I went out with friends. That's how I would buy like the latest like style of shoes or whatever it was. Because my parents just wouldn't. It wasn't like a necessity. If it wasn't a necessity for them, then it was like, yeah, we see no point in you not having a Vans shoe compared to a Payless shoe. Like, that's completely fine. Yeah. But in my eyes, like, but all the cool kids wear the Vans. I want the Vans. Brands, right? The name brands, yeah. So I started working really, really early. And I was the only one that worked. Like, my two older sisters never worked. And my brother did. But as far as my sisters, they never worked in high school or even after. And I was the only one. And it was nice to have my own money and not have to depend on my parents or anything like that. Because they had enough struggles already. Yeah.
Okay. What was your attitude at that time? Was it more like, ugh, like you're a 12-year-old? Or did you have like a better attitude about it?
I actually liked working.
Okay.
I think I've always been one to not complain. Like, I knew that if I worked, I got the paycheck, and I really enjoyed the paycheck. So why not just do well at it, right? I mean, if you think about it, how long are we at work, like in our careers on a day-to-day? So why not enjoy what we're doing at the time? Yeah. So no, I wouldn't complain. But I think once I started wanting to have like more of a social life, that's when it was like, when I have to work. Yeah.
Oh, sorry guys, I gotta work.
Yeah. But it worked out. Yeah.
What are some of the differences that you might have noticed from people in your age group that when you yourself started working at that age to others that didn't have to work at that age?
Yeah. So I mentioned in the podcast that I grew up like in a really ag-related, in Tulare, which is really ag-related, and Tipton. And so I grew up with all the dairy owners and their kids, and then we were all the dairy workers and the kids.
Got it.
So they were really well off. And I remember a lot of the girls were just have the cutest clothes and the cutest outfits. So it was frustrating that they were just like given all of this, and then here I am having to work X amount of hours to receive that. But I didn't realize the difference of that until now, until like my high school, like adult life, in comparison to like what that does, because now I work at a high school. I'm around these kids all day, and girls especially, they're so easily influenced, and especially now with social media, like they see all of these like amazing women and like all these brands and all these influencers. So in high school, I was easily influenced, and it was kind of like a dang, like you are just handed this and a brand new car and all this stuff, and I have to work for it. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it now.
That's awesome. Okay. Let me see. Okay. This kind of transitions into more what you're doing now. So besides photography and video production, what are some of the things that had your interest while growing up?
When I was growing up, I didn't know like what I wanted to do, and I had a lot of interests. So I was like that kid that did everything. Like I was in poetry and prose, I was in CyberQuest, I was in Science Olympiad, I did those sports. Like I just did a little bit of everything. But I never thought like this is what interests me, or like this is my hobby, or this is like, like when you're like that kid, then that's what you're known for. Like, oh, that kid's a great drawer, or that kid's like amazing at math.
Like
I was pretty.
That kid's the athlete.
Right, right. I was pretty well-rounded, so I never had like one initial spark. So growing up, it was always, oh, I want a business. I want to start a business. Well, what kind of business? I don't know. I just want to start a business. That was it. So I didn't have any initial like spark. And then going into like, we have a huge family, as mentioned, and we would always have like baby showers and barbecues and birthday parties. So during all these events, my mom would hand me the camera and was like, record. Like, we want everything documented. And that was like my job. Like I was in charge of documenting these events. So over time, I started thinking like, if I'm going to do this, I might as well be great at it. And I would like play with all the buttons, and I learned how to put like text. And then like I had like little balloons at one point, like So I think that then sparked an interest in cameras. And then like junior high, we were able to get a computer donated to us from the district. And I learned the ins and outs of that computer, like every program, I learned how to like edit photos and like put hearts around it. And I would print it, like digital media or like graphic design kind of. And I would print it and I would gift it to like my aunts and uncles. So pretty early on, like I realized I was good with tech and I liked it, but I never knew I could do something with it. Yeah.
Okay.
So then that led to what I do now.
Got it.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So now I am a high school video production teacher. I teach video production, introduction to video. I have 4 classes, and then I have 1 advanced film production class. So here in Visalia, we have us, Mount Whitney, Golden West, El Diamante, which is the Arts Media Academy, and then we have, did I mention Golden West? Yes. Redwood. So besides LD, the rest of us only have 1 video teacher on campus. LD is the academy itself, so they're focused on arts, media, entertainment. But that's what I do now. I feel so blessed. How long have you been teaching for? I have been teaching 3 years.
Okay. Okay.
So teaching.
Yeah.
What got me into teaching?
Yes.
So I was a secretary at Mount Whitney, and I'd been there for a few years, and I was thinking that I wasn't using my education to the fullest potential. So I looked into different options. One was to become a high school counselor, and then the other one was to teach. The high school counselor position was harder to get into, and the route was longer, and I didn't have time for that. So the teaching position, I actually found the impact program, which is through Tulare County Office of Ed, and you could teach and you get your credential at the same time. which was amazing because you
Okay.
have a job, you have a paycheck coming in, you're teaching, you're getting the experience, and then I would go to class 2 nights a week. I did that for 2 years.
Wow.
I just graduated in June.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like 7 months ago, 8 months ago, it's been nice to not have class or homework because on top of everything that I already do,
Yeah.
I was going to class 2 nights a week.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's one of my questions in here eventually,
Yeah.
but we'll get to that. Man, that's crazy. So what are some of the things that your business teaches you that you've used in the classroom and vice versa?
I think it's nice to have that outside experience and bring it into the classroom. My first year, I thought to myself, like, I can't handle all of this at once. So I was just focused on teaching and not really taking on extra work. But I realized how bored I was. And it's one thing to teach, and it's another thing to actually do it and practice it. So now I will come back like from the weekends or whatever, and I'll tell my students, like, I had this weekend, I had a gig, I did this, I did that. And all of that experience, we like to do a lot of on-site experience with the kids. So we'll do work-based learning and we'll take them out to different opportunities. And I always coach them through. Like, this is what I do in my sessions. Please introduce yourself. At the end of a gig, go over, say, thank you, we're going to follow up this day, blah, blah, blah. So everything that I do on outside, I take it into the classroom. And the kids really appreciate that because they understand. I have a lot of them that want to start their own businesses, and they're doing photography. They're doing like the prom photos for like their friends. And I have this one student. She is amazing. Have you heard of this Slick Rock Film Festival?
No.
That's at the Visalia Theater. It's coming up. She has created some amazing things. And being able to have that experience and teach to my kids, I think makes my teaching like a more of an understanding with them. Because if I was just like, oh yeah, do this, do this, do this, but I have no idea what I'm talking about or no previous experience, I don't think they would grasp it as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about vice versa? So or did you say that already?
From classroom to the fieldwork?
Yeah.
I think it's different. I think that being in the classroom allows me to speak directly to a lot of like a large crowd, even though they're students and they're younger.
Yeah.
But I think that's helped me with like speech because in the past I was terrified.
Yeah.
Like I was insane. I forced myself in college to take a speech class, and we would do a 1-minute speech every week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
That's terrifying. But now that I speak in front of these kids, I'm just like, whatever. In the rallies, I'll speak with them. We have like senior meetings. I'll sometimes run that. So that has helped me as far as like networking, talking to people, because I'm like, if I could do this large crowd of kids that are full of judgment, I can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Right.
These lives,
Yeah.
all these kids that are full of judgment.
They are.
Yeah.
Especially that age, teenagers.
No filter. You think little kids have no filter? Go to high school.
Exactly. Yeah. They're fun.
They may not say it to your face either, so
I know.
They might,
Later on, they're on Twitter.
yeah,
Like,
Twitter.
Miss Perez in her video class.
Yeah, exactly. So you have here's the busy question.
Yeah.
You have a lot going on with
Yeah.
your business, with teaching, done with school, but you also have 2 kids
Right.
here at home. And now you also have like this YouTube channel, and now you started a podcast.
I just started, yeah.
And congratulations, by
Thank
the way,
you.
on the podcast. And you post actively everywhere,
Yeah.
I've noticed.
Yeah.
So what's your schedule every day? And like, I guess I would assume it'd be like different on the weekends.
For sure. Yeah.
As opposed to during the week.
So my biggest thing is when I'm at work, meaning like my campus, I'm at work. Like my head is there. And then when I'm doing business for KM Photography, then my head is here. Because at one point it was like, how am I managing all this? So just being in the right headspace for sure. I'm a big believer in routines, and I love routines.
Yeah.
And that's part of like my like OCD, trying to keep things like on check.
Yeah.
So I have like a morning routine. I literally have like a list that I've made, that I've written out, and then I just made copies of it, and it's a literal check mark every morning. It's a little obsessive.
Yeah.
But it like, I love the feeling of like a crossed
Getting
off.
stuff done.
Yeah, like that's done.
Like, what's that book? Make Your Bed?
I've never heard of that. Did you say
So,
Make Your Bed?
Make Your Bed.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
kind of want to look that up.
It's a good book.
Is
I
it
can lend it
really?
to you if you want.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might stop by one day and just be like, here. Or
Cool.
just leave it on your doorstep or something.
Love that.
All right. Anyways, go ahead.
I have a nighttime routine too.
Mm-hmm.
And then the in between is what fluctuates. So
Okay.
like my morning is, for me, I have to do a to-do list every day. Have to.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm in a rush in the morning and I don't get it done. And I'll get it done between first and second period, like that 6 minutes that I have.
Yeah.
If I don't get that to-do list, like I'd rather have it done before I leave my home. But if I don't get it done like right away, my head's like cluttered. It's like, it literally feels like just tabs are open and I have to put it down on paper. Like I have to. And once I have it down on paper, it's like, okay, I have to prioritize things. So when I'm at work, like Matt Whitney work, I take care of everything Matt Whitney. And then once I'm off work, then I can like shift perspectives.
Okay.
So we come home, and then honestly from there it's mom mode.
Yeah.
Like it's mom focused. We have to like do homework and dinner and get things ready for the next day and chores and catch up on our days. And then usually like after dinner is when we kind of all do our own thing.
Yeah.
And that's when I'll pencil in KM photography and media stuff. The weekends I don't have the boys because they're only gone every other weekend. I will be a hermit sometimes and just make this list, and I have to just, okay, that album's done. This album's done. This edit's done. I have to sort through this. This is done. Because if I don't do it that way, I would probably go insane.
Yeah.
Time is my biggest pet peeve though. Like people that are late, people that don't value my time.
On time.
Like I did a birthday party for my son last weekend, and some of the guests were late, and my sister's like, "Uh-oh, that's our biggest pet peeve." Like time is huge for me. Like I value your time, value my time.
Yeah.
If I say like, "Hey, I'm meeting you for dinner at 6," like we're meeting for dinner at 6, and that is because, like once we wrap things up like dinner or whatnot, like I have a to-do list of other things that I need to get done.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So every day does shift.
Yeah.
It just depends like what I have client-wise. Because my Mount Whitney work is my priority because that's my paycheck. That's like my biggest paycheck. Everything else does provide income for me, but it's more of a creative fulfillment. So it's like it just like makes me happy. Yeah. So that's like, I'm doing it and I'm doing it for fun and I'm doing it because I love it and I will prioritize it, but it's Matt Whitney's first.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm kind of similar. I used to have this big to-do list every morning.
Yeah.
And I would check things off, make my bed, go in the pool for a little bit, do a workout, whatever, eat. And my parents and I moved. They moved off to Texas. I'm with my brother now. And so my workout stuff's in storage, so that messed me up. But then I still am feeling that with these Post-it notes. I'll leave Post-it notes every single night of the things I have to do the next day. And then, like you said, it's just a check mark. Every time I finish a Post-it note, throw it away, throw it away. And it helps. It helps a lot.
It does. With my students too. They'll come up to me and they're like, "Ms. Perez, I need you to change this grade or I need you to do this." I'm like, write a sticky note, put it on my computer. Because if you do not write it down, I will not forget. I have too many things going on. Like I will not remember. So sure enough, there they are. I stick it on my computer.
Yeah.
Because without that, my mind's like, "Oh, we talked about that? I'm so sorry."
I also got tired of like forgetting stuff too.
Yeah.
Like even though I've done this 27 times now,
Right.
it seems like even on the drive over, I'm like, did I forget something? Did I forget something? Did I forget something? And so I write every single thing that I need down for a podcast, even though I already know.
Right.
But it's like, okay, now I know for sure that, even though I still freak out and stress. But
Same thing before a shoot. It's like, okay, SD card, charged batteries, I have the lenses I want to use. Like, just check off.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the creative stuff a little more that you mentioned.
Yeah.
What made you want to do all the extra stuff as opposed to just going to work, going to
Clocking
kids?
in, clocking out.
Clocking in, clocking out.
Yeah. So when I became a teacher, my sister also teaches, one of my sisters. And she would always mention to me, like, this career is not a check in, check out kind of thing. Like, if you're a teacher, like, you live around your classroom. The clock revolves around grading. Like, there's never enough hours in the day. There really isn't. So I've always been the type of person that wants to have some sort of creative outlet. Yeah. Like, I have to. It's like this bug. I don't know. I just want to create something, whether it be shooting photography or video or a podcast or like web design. I find a lot of joy in it. Mm-hmm. And although what I do for a living ties in, because it's video work, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it ties in for sure. There's a difference between me teaching the students how to do this stuff and me doing it for myself. So why do I do it? Honestly, it's just for fulfillment. Yeah. I hope to one day, like, expand things. And if it ever were to, that's amazing. But for now, it really just fills my heart up with joy. Like, I do it for fun because I love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can tell you really love doing everything that you do too, because like teaching, you also have that YouTube channel and now a podcast, and you continue to teach on those things as well. I noticed. Right. Like, once you started your podcast, you put that video on YouTube. Yeah. And it makes me sound like I'm stalking you.
No, totally like, fine.
This is what you posted on that day, on that time. But no, I can tell that you really like teaching because you've made other outlets for it. Yes. And so it's just really cool to see someone with that passion that continues just to make more passions out of what your first passion already is.
And really, because I do this for a living, I would always get questions. Mm-hmm. How do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? And my schedule's already so full. Mm-hmm. So another thought was, like, if I could just, like, mass answer this question, why not? Yeah. Like, I'm in this niche, there's a lot of people that I want to keep to themselves. Like, they want to keep their locations to themselves, like what they shoot with, like, because you're a competition. Yeah. I'm not about that. I'm just like, if you need help, here's what I do, here's what I use. I had one of my friends the other day that actually moved to Maryland. He's like, hey, I need to record some audio. What do you do? And I'm sending him all these links. Oh, I made this YouTube. Here, watch this. This is where I showed the example of the audio of the lapel. Here's the one that I've always also tried. Like, whatever it is that you need help with, I'm here for it. And that's another way of teaching, right? And when I started doing like the weekly YouTube stuff, at the end, I always want to end it with, like, here's some valuable resources. Like, here's what you need. So it's another form of teaching. It really is.
That's the better way to do it, I think, too. Like you mentioned, instead of being in competition with everyone, being with the competition, I guess, or helping each other out, basically. Right. I don't like those people who have their business and they're all secretive about it and don't like to help others. Yeah. Like, even though this is just a little podcast that I do, someone else asked me the other day if I could help them with their podcast. Yeah. Like, edit or something like that and do audio or whatever for them. Yeah. I was like, yeah, sure, man. I'll be over there whenever you want me to. Yeah. And I think it's just better like that. Because it's just, you always have that good name attached to you. Like, they're going to look back and say, oh, that person helped me out when I was struggling. Right. That's why. Yeah. That's what I think. Yeah.
I think more so, like, I want to see you successful. Why not? Mm-hmm. Like, if you want to start this, or if you want to take pictures, like, I would love to see you successful. And especially if it's a passion of yours, because all of this brings me fulfillment. Yeah. I would love you to have that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this part of the podcast is going to get more into, like, meaningful stuff.
We're going to get deep.
Get a little deep. Yeah. Like this next question. Tell me about someone, if you have anyone, that might have, like, touched your heart and might have maybe shifted the way you've done things.
Yeah. Well, it's going to get really deep. We're going to get connected.
Okay, cool. That's what we do here.
For me, it's my dad. So when my dad passed, we all wrote a little note for him and we stuck it in his shirt pocket. And my portion was, you did all this for me, I'm going to live for you. That was literally what I wrote. And I don't think I've ever shared that before. So I think he just did all of this for us. Like, he came here for us. He worked so hard for us. And now I just want to take advantage of the seed that he planted. Yeah. And that really does excel me forward all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love those sort of stories.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about your loss, by the way.
Thank you.
But when you're doing it for that one specific person, like I do this for I do this for my parents, because they, you know, obviously they raised me, and they're why I do so many of these extra things along with just a job that I work at. Yeah. It's just I want to eventually provide for them, because they provided for me for 20 plus
forever
years. Yeah. So yeah, I just want to pay them back tenfold.
And just wait till you have kids and you know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like eye-opening. Because now I see that. Like, man, I have 2 kids. I'm doing all this, trying to manage. Can you imagine, like, 4 kids? 16 kids?
I know. Oh my goodness. I don't know, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
No.
Man.
So,
shout out to parents.
Shout out to parents.
Yeah.
Last year in August, I wanted to start traveling. And last year in August, out of nowhere, I booked a trip to New York, and I went by myself for 3 days. Wow. And my mom was like, "You're crazy. What are you doing?" And a big part of it was the note that I left for my dad. So when I went to New York, I had a picture of him, and I was like, "We're here. Like, we're doing it." Yeah. Because I don't think he would have ever imagined, like, his children, like, living this life. And it's all because of, like, this little seed that he planted. I think it's huge.
Shout
That's
out
huge.
to him, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This part is where we start giving back to more of the audience. If they want to start running their own thing, like photography and videography and things like that. What are some of the common mistakes that beginners make when they're first getting started? What are some of the common mistakes that I'm making when I'm getting started?
I think the biggest thing is just hesitation of starting, because they're so afraid of judgment and, like, what's to come, and like it comes with like who am I to start this podcast? Who am I to reach out to Katie and interview her? Like, you know what I mean? It all starts with hesitation. I think that's like the biggest failure. If you're really passionate about something and you're doing it because of the nature of it, people will see that. People genuinely will see that through. When you start something I have so many kids in my class that want to become YouTubers, right? Yeah. And they make an insane amount of money, right? Yeah. If you become really popular. And if you're doing something for that because you're driven by greed or money or popularity, you know, become famous, YouTube famous, TikTok famous, people see right through that. But if it's something that you're genuinely interested in and it's something that you're very genuine about, just start. Like, just do it. People will see that. People will naturally gravitate towards you because of that, right? Yeah. I think another thing is when they start, but they have a lot of hesitation of, like, this is the right camera, or I don't have the best of the best. I don't have a $3,000 Canon. Yeah. I don't have X, Y, and Z. I think just start with whatever you have, whatever it is that you have, because if you just don't, like, kickstart yourself to get going, you're never going to. Yeah. You really aren't. Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be like tech stuff. Like, what if you want to get into nursing? Yeah. Do the research, find out what it is that you need to do, get yourself into a program, right? Get the ball rolling. Yeah. And so hesitation. I
mean, that's exactly, that's right on. I remember there was a lot of hesitation when I first started.
Really?
Just because, one, I was in between jobs. So that was super scary, buying all this new stuff that I don't even know how to use. I still don't even know how to use all of it, as you saw earlier. And then I had to get rid of so much of my own thinking what I thought other people were thinking, basically. And that was horrifying a little at first, but you know, now I'm here 27 episodes later, and I don't even think about it anymore. I'm just like, oh, we got another one to do, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just, it's one of those uncomfortable positions that we talked about earlier that you have to go through, or you may not do some of the things that you really want to do. And I think that's why some people end up at some of these 9-to-5ers that they don't really want to do. They, like we said, clock in, clock out, clock in, clock out.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to take that first step of some of the things that they really want to do.
Exactly.
And
what I've noticed a lot with my high school kids is they'll do it when they're out of high school. So out of high school, I see a lot of these kids like starting businesses, or they start modeling, or they start doing photography or YouTube because they're so afraid of the day-to-day in high school, of the judgment. As soon as they graduate, they're like, okay, I'm not part of this like little bubble anymore. I'm going to do it. And they do, which is awesome. But if we could find that just a little bit earlier, just do it.
I think what needs to happen in high schools is this whole community of the high school just encouraging each other instead of judging each other of some of the things that they really want to do. And I think it'd be just 10 times better. Oh, you're doing a photography business? That's so cool. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I think, oh my gosh, I want to dream. If I had a perfect high school in my head, that sort of thing would be it. And everybody just helping each other out. Instead of being like, oh, that's funny, you're doing photography, oh, you think, you know, whatever, right? And
I have the power to do that in my classroom. I can't control the whole campus, 2,000 people. But in my classroom, I could plant a little seed within them, and then hopefully that spreads, right? But in my classroom, it's definitely that. It's like, nobody's better than anybody. You have your thing, that's so awesome. I have people that dress differently. Can you imagine as a teacher what we see every day? Like so many different like groups, and like what they dress like, and like we have like the anime people, and then we have like the ag kids, and then we have like the drama kids. Like it's so interesting to see all the spectrums. And for me, it's not putting those labels like, okay, yeah, you're a drama kid, you're an ag kid, but we're all awesome. We're all like, you're not above me, I'm not above you. This is my interest, respect my interest. This is your interest, respect your interest. But as a teacher, to see all these different like groups and like be able to analyze. I have 150 students a day. I have 5 classes a day, 30 students in each class. So to see, and then when you start seeing like, when I pair them up in groups, they pair each other up in groups, you just see them like gravitate towards like what they're accustomed and what they're used to. This last project, I'm like, I know this is crazy, but you don't have to work with the same people all the time. Like mix it up. Sure enough, they didn't. No.
Are you ever gonna make them do?
I do, but here's the thing with video. It's scary enough to be in front of a camera. I mean, I don't know why, but a lot of people get really scared, right? It's hard. So I can only imagine how much harder it is to be in a group and have to do that and not be comfortable, right? So for now, I've let them choose their own groups, because if there's comfort, they're more willing to accomplish it together, as opposed to being with a group of kids they don't know, plus they're already in front of the camera, or uncomfortable in front of the camera. So for now, it's working. But I would love for them to like spread around.
Everybody be friends, right?
Yeah. Or even have the confidence to go into a new group. I
never had that sort of confidence.
Me either.
I wish I did.
I wish I did too.
But,
I'm over here saying it because I've learned from it, you know, and I only hope that they could like take these tips from me. But yeah, in high school, I would have never done it either. No, it takes time.
It does.
So
this is one of my favorite questions to ask. I've asked it for a lot of episodes. Do you have any favorite failures?
Favorite failures? Oh my God.
This failure that you might have had, and you look back and you're like, oh, that's something I'll look back on forever because I know I'll never do that again.
That's a hard one. Favorite failures. I don't know.
We can come back if you want it, if you want to.
Oh, I mean, something does come up to mind, but it's not a failure because of the twist on, it's taught me so much, right? So like everything that I've been through, I don't regret.
Yeah.
There were failures for a reason. And I've taken a whole different route than what I planned my life to be. So I'm going to change this question.
Okay.
This is how I'm going to answer it.
Go for it.
So I feel like I lived life backwards, right? Because most people go to high school and then they graduate, then they go to college, then they have kids, then they get married, have kids, yada yada. I had my son at 17, got married really, really young, got divorced really, really young, found my career afterwards. So I feel like everything was just like flipped, right? And I think that whole journey is not your average expectancy of life, right? Everybody has like this like general timeline of what your life is supposed to look like, or what the community or life has taught us to be like. So for a long time, it was like just rolling with the punches. And now that I look back, I'm like, no, it wasn't a failure that I didn't commit to this timeline that you're supposed to. It all taught me so much along the way, and I don't regret any of it. So I didn't follow the traditional timeline, I guess.
Well, you grew up a lot faster than other people.
Yeah.
Okay. So this next question is once again for someone starting their own thing. In the same industry you're doing. If someone is on a budget, let's say when you're high school kids.
Right.
What are some of the things they can do to save money for their own photography and videography business, and what are some of the good options out there?
So, like in the video film industry, like photo, I always tell my students, and especially in my advanced class, because they have access to so much equipment, like amazing equipment in my room. And a lot of them want to continue after high school. I'm like, well, you need to start saving now, because once you graduate, I'm not letting you check out this stuff. It's here while you're here. Take advantage. But once you're out, it's up to you. A lot of them do work. If you have the ability to work. If you have the ability to do odd jobs, save up that way, right? I would also take up internships. And some of them might not pay much, right? Or not pay at all, but that's definitely experience. I had a gentleman offer an internship, and he's like, it doesn't pay, but at the end of it, I'm willing to buy them equipment. Like that's my payment. And that works out for him, because then that's his business tax write-off. And then an advantage to my kids is that they get all this experience. So there's a lot of different ways. I was looking for my phone. Phones nowadays have amazing quality. Amazing.
iPhone 11, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I have the Pro Max, and there's even iMovie in there. I have some rally videos are edited in iMovie on your phone. I've never done that, but there's so many different like apps, free software. iMovie is free. Of course, the Mac is not free. It's expensive. But if you're able to get your hands on that, my brother uses free editing, tons of different free editing stuff. But I would just say work with what you got, especially if you have a phone. And then if you want to start charging like a little bit, like, hey, I'll produce these Instagram photos for you. I'll edit them. Check out what I already do. Here's my fee. And then you start building that up, right? I've encouraged a lot of kids to start doing that, and they've been making pretty good. They've been doing pretty good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like seeing people my age and younger doing stuff like that, because I just have an attachment towards it, because in high school I started doing stuff like that.
What'd you do?
I started doing like insurance, and then like...
Insurance in high school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Weird combo.
That would just be so odd. Like me as an adult being like, you're a high school kid selling me insurance?
Yeah.
It
definitely was a crazy experience. That's a whole nother story.
Right.
But, and then after that, I started doing like health supplements and business services.
In high school?
Yeah. In high school still. And then during that also, I joined forces with Blackwater. Do you know what Blackwater is?
Yes.
Right down the street, basically, way down that way.
Yeah.
Did some traveling sales with them for a while,
Yeah.
and now I kind of got burnt out of it. I'm sort of with that business services and
Yeah.
health company still.
It kind of sounds like, because all of those are kind of in the niche of your own, not your own boss, but you're on your own terms in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a network marketing sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now I do this.
Yeah.
That was basically me trying to figure out everything I want to do.
Right.
That's basically what it was.
But I think you have narrowed down from all those experiences that you like doing your own thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely hate jobs too.
Right.
I'm sort of exposing myself right now, but it's fine. It's my podcast. I can do what I want. I've had a lot of jobs where not very successful. I work over here at X Factor. I do the XGT in there. That's not going very well right now. Before that, a weird boss. Before that, a weird boss. Before that, I don't even know if there probably were weird bosses, but I'm not one of the ones that stuck around for it. I was like, I gotta get out of here immediately.
Yeah.
Before that, probably me slacking off at some point too had something to do with some of the jobs.
Yeah.
But all in all, the point is, like, I just don't like working regular jobs.
Yeah.
I can't stay at one place for a long period of time.
Yeah. And I like that you recognize that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I do too. Even though it's hard right now, because you need money, right?
Life.
But I'm doing it. Like, I'm glad. I'm just glad. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm happy that I'm, like you said, able to recognize that, and I know now what I want to do and what I'm working towards.
Yeah, because could you imagine investing, like, in some sort of education, and then you're going through all this, and then you're in it, and it's like, shit, I don't want to do this.
That's why I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to get in debt, go through all these different classes just to see, oh, I actually don't like this thing that I'm doing in the end. Now I got to start all these new classes all over. Like, that sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that for 2, 4, 6, 8 years, 10 years sometimes. And
yeah. See, in my family, it was expected that you were going to college. Like, no ifs, and or buts. It wasn't a choice. You were going. But it wasn't ever, like, drilled in us. It was just, like, there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I did business. Because I'm like, I could pretty much do anything with it. Business is so general. I could pretty much jump into anything I want.
Yeah.
But I was very indecisive of what I wanted. Very.
Yeah, in my family, they always said, too, you have to go to college, you have to go to college, you have to go to college. But my dad also told me, when you're 18, you can make your own decisions. So I was like, I can make my own decisions, so I'm not going to college.
Yeah.
And that was a huge shocker at first to my mom and my grandpa. I don't know if my dad so much, probably him at first too, but my grandpa, I never got great grades. I wasn't good in, especially my senior year. I had 2 periods off, and I drove, and my mom signed this really cool thing at the beginning of the year where I can sign myself out anytime I want.
Yep,
so
I'm familiar with that,
definitely abused that. But yeah, it was kind of shocking. Yeah. Yeah. I just made I couldn't do the
with my family, it was more like you see how hard we work, so education's going to get you out of this. Yeah. Right? And now with my kids, I'm like, I have 2 different kids. One of them is on an IEP, which is an individualized education plan, beneath his grade level. And the other one is a smart butt. Like, he just picks up on things really quickly. So I have 2 different spectrums. Yeah. And on my end, I'm like, you don't have to go to college. I now have figured out that college is not the only way that you could become successful. There's definitely other routes. Being a high school teacher, I see that all the kids are different. Some of them are ready to work. Some of them are ready to go to college. Some of them want, like, a long-term career, like a doctor or whatnot. But now, having the example from my high school kids and my own children, I'm like, yeah, college isn't for everyone. As long as you find steady income. Yeah. Because even though I'm not like this So Mexicans are very machistas, mean like men are supposed to take care of your family.
Yeah.
And my boys they're boys and they will be men one day.
Yeah.
So even though I'm not like, because I'm a woman and I'm obviously like doing all these things and I'm not like your wife or whatever is not supposed to work or do anything, but I do expect them to take, charge of their family and take care of their family.
Yeah.
So I let them know, hey, you need to find something that's going to be steady. You're able to have a career, have a great family with, because life is expensive.
Oh my goodness.
Life is super expensive.
Especially in California.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
So this is another one of those sort of hard-hitting questions. I've started asking this question the same episode Jarrett was on. That was my first time that I asked that. So question is, how or who do you want to be remembered as?
I saw that question and I'm like, how do I answer that? Like, how do you answer that, right? Honestly, I think more about my boys because obviously they're my next generation. And I just want them to think, to be hard workers, be great, well-rounded people, hard workers, have a fulfilled life. But if I were to think greater beyond my kids, I just want people to understand that, like, this is legit the only chance you get at life. Like, why not be happy and do what you want with it? Yeah. Right? It's not... And I'm not saying, like, go be reckless and, like, spend all your money and, like, hit up Vegas every weekend, right? It's more like take the time to enjoy being fulfilled and do what you love. Like, this is your one shot. Yeah. This is your one shot. Yeah. And I think a lot of people do reach out to me and they're like, that's so awesome. You're doing this. You're doing this. And I'm like, you could too, right? Like, you could too. Like, you got this. Like... Whatever you need help with, I'm here. I'll help you out if you need some information. And obviously not everybody is like in this industry, but whatever it is that you want to do, you have the ability to do it. My motto for my podcast is endless possibilities because that's exactly it. I keep thinking, like, if my parents had this one choice, right, to have this American dream and they moved to the U.S. and now my siblings and I have all these opportunities, why can't we do that? Exactly. Make the choice to make a difference for the next generation, which will be my kids.
Yeah. That's a great way of putting things.
Yeah.
I think we need to, I was going to say this earlier, but then I sort of forgot until now. We need to celebrate life more, just in general. Because I think people forget all the time how precious life really is. Yeah, there's so many of us, but there's a lot. You could have been a totally different person. You know what I mean? Like, if you get in scientific stuff, millions of... Yeah. I'm not going to get into that, but you know what I mean. Right? Yeah. Yeah. And you became you.
Right. And what were the odds of you being fertilized? Yeah. Is that the right word? Fertilized?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I didn't want to sound gross, so I was like...
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, but also at the same time, you have to remember too, okay, but there's still... 7 billion, 8 billion, however many people are on this earth. Right. There's still a lot of you. You still got to stay humble. Right. And that's what I've had to do. There's been times where I thought, oh, life's whatever. I'm going to kick it. I'm going to do whatever. Right. And then there's been times like I've got, like I said, a little spoiled with everything. I just, now I'm in that mindset where life is to be celebrated, but you got to do work. You got to stay humble as well.
I think recently with Kobe's passing, I think that was a big, like, it was everywhere, social media and like, and how it impacted. And I think that it was definitely a reminder, like, we're only here for a limited amount of time. It can happen to anybody. Yeah. That was a shocker.
She was like a god to so many people. Yeah. A basketball god, and just like that, he's away from this earth, and it was just a huge shocker to everybody. And people forget that everybody's human. Or all humans are humans. Right. And Kobe was too. Right. And
I think more so as well, like, we all have an end, right? And it's up to us what we do while we're here. I think that's another thing too that happened with my dad's passing. It was like, and when I think back, I really do feel like he was fulfilled. Like he was like, yep, this is what I wanted. I accomplished it. My kids are all graduated. My brother just graduated, and he was like the last kid to graduate from college. So I think like that was his fulfillment. So I think at the end of our time, we have to think about that too. Like, are we fulfilled? Like, are we good? And I think at the end of the day, like that's what I want.
Yeah,
I want to.
sure.
I want to feel fulfilled and be like, okay, I'm ready to check out. Like I'm good. I don't ever want to feel like I didn't do enough. I didn't have enough. I didn't feel enough. Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is gonna start wrapping up our session here.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like me to ask, or anything I might have missed, or this is your time basically? This is your podcast now. You can say or do whatever you want.
Oh, I can.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I put my Venmo? I'm just
Go
kidding.
for it. I mean, my last
Totally
thing,
kidding.
my last thing is like, do you want to shout out your stuff? Do you want to shout out your social media stuff?
I want to say that this is awesome. How old are you?
20.
You're 20. I think it's awesome how young you are and that you're starting this because, like I said, like a lot of young people don't want to put themselves out there or even start, or they think age is a factor. Like, because at age 20 and you approach an older gentleman or woman, it's like, hey, I'm so-and-so, can I interview you? Because putting yourself out there is hard.
It is.
So I congratulate you
Appreciate
for what
it.
you're
Thank
doing.
you so much.
It's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Do you want to shout out your social media and your
Yeah, so
business?
I have 2 Instagrams. So my personal is Katie Maria 00, and then I have my business, which is KM Photography and Media. I also have my website with that as well, KM Photography Media. And what I do is photo work, videography work. I have a podcast, and the podcast actually just launched, I want to say it's 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And I did it out of like nowhere.
Yeah.
It was something that was always in the back of my mind. I'm like, let's just start. And what I talk about is, my motto is endless possibilities. And it really is just thinking about what it is that you want to do while you're here, like we mentioned.
Yeah.
You are capable of triggering possibilities for yourself, whether you believe it or not. And it's all up to you and your mindset. And it's a lot about, like, I don't know, day-to-day life. Motherhood, teaching, entrepreneurship, connecting to people that are like-minded as well. I do a lot. I'm a teacher. I teach at Whitney. So if you are in that age group, I would love to have you for intro to video, my advanced film production class. They're fun classes. You just mentioned that you would have loved to have taken something like that in high school. Take advantage.
Then they had that option too. I just didn't. I didn't know.
Yeah,
that I liked
you
it.
just didn't do it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of students that say that.
Yeah.
They're at the end. They're like, I didn't even know this existed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
It exists, everybody. Take it. Take it.
It's there. Your teachers are awesome. And I think that's it. My website is kmphotographymedia.com. And I'm always on socials. I use socials as a tool to get information out there. And I think people are at times hesitant to reach out and ask questions, but I am more than happy to help anybody out.
She's awesome, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That was it.
We're done.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Join me on episode 28. And thank you for joining me today.
All right, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.